This is Top Accurate Global News Update. I am Abiodun Mohammed. A 23-year-old bank employee armed with a rifle shot dead 5 colleagues and wounded 9 other people at his workplace in Louisville on Monday while live streaming the attack on social media. Police said the gunman was fatally shot at the scene. Louisville police said it was unclear whether he was slain by police or took his own life. The incident marked the latest in a long series of mass shootings in the US. Louisville police identified the shooter as Connor Sturgeon, who joined the downtown branch of the Old National Bank as a full-time employee last year. Police said they responded within minutes to reports of an attacker at about 8:30 a.m. at the bank office near Slugger Field Baseball Stadium. Officers fired at the gunman, who was armed with a rifle. Police Chief Jacqueline Villarreal told reporters the attacker broadcast live video of his attack on social media. She said Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear fought back tears at an afternoon news briefing, saying that he knew some of the victims, including Elliot, a senior vice president at the bank. 2 police officers were among the 9 wounded. The 26-year-old recent police academy graduate was struck in the head and remained in critical condition after brain surgery on Monday, police said. Russian forces pounded frontline cities in eastern Ukraine with airstrikes and artillery attacks, while US officials stepped up efforts to locate the source of a leak of classified US documents, including those on Ukrainian counter-offensive plans. The Russians pressed on with their offensive in the eastern Donetsk region, where several cities and towns came under heavy bombardment, Ukraine's general staff said on Tuesday. Ukraine forces repelled several attacks, it said, as the Russian military kept up its efforts to take control of Bakhmut. A top Ukrainian commander accused Moscow of using scorched earth tactics. The battle for the small and now largely ruined city on the edge of a chunk of Russian-controlled territory in Donetsk has been the bloodiest of the 13-month war, as Moscow tries to inject momentum into its campaign after recent setbacks. Both sides have suffered heavy casualties in the Bakhmut fighting. Potsetsky said, in quote, "The situation is difficult but controllable." The head of the Moscow-controlled part of Donetsk, Denis Pushilin, said Russian forces now held 75% of the city, though he cautioned it was too early to talk about Bakhmut's fall. Moscow's military was also targeting the city of Avdiivka in Chasiv Yar, the first major town to Bakhmut's west. Few buildings remain intact, and those queuing for food and other aid do not even flinch at the sound of artillery. At least 50 people were killed in central Myanmar on Tuesday in an airstrike by the military on an event attended by opponents to its rule, according to media and members of a local resistance movement. According to reports, residents in the Sanghain region reported between 50 and 100 people, including civilians, had died in the attack. Pressmen could not immediately verify the report, and a spokesperson for the ruling military did not answer a phone call seeking comment. Myanmar has been in turmoil since a 2021 coup, with attacks by ethnic minority armies and resistance fighters challenging the rule of the military, which has responded with airstrikes and heavy weapons, including in civilian areas. A member of the local People's Defense Force (PDF), an anti-junta militia, told Top Accurate News fighter jets had fired on the ceremony held to open their local office. At least 1.2 million people have been displaced by post-coup fighting, according to the United Nations. Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen has condemned China over its 3 days of military exercises around the self-ruled island, saying they were irresponsible and a threat to regional stability. Beijing wrapped up its war games, which simulated strikes on the territory of 23 million people, on April 10th, although Taiwan's Ministry of National Defense said that 8 Chinese vessels continued to operate in quotes in the waters surrounding Taiwan on Tuesday morning. The drills began after Tsai returned home from a visit to Central America, during which she stopped over twice in the United States and held a high-profile meeting with the Speaker of the US House of Representatives, Kevin McCarthy. Tsai, portrayed as a separatist by China, said visits to friendly countries were a long-term practice and expected by the people of Taiwan. Beijing considers Taiwan part of China and has not ruled out the use of force to take control of the island. The latest drills simulated attacks on Taiwan, and a state media report said dozens of planes had practiced an area blockade. An Indian court has directed the government to respond to an appeal submitted by a comedian challenging recent changes to the country's information technology (IT) rules, which prevent social media platforms from posting information that the government terms fake. The rules dictate that social media platforms make reasonable efforts to not publish, share, or host any information relating to the government that is identified as fake, false, or misleading by a government-appointed fact-checking unit. The Bombay High Court, hearing the petition filed by comedian Kunal Kamra on Tuesday, asked the government to file a reply on the plea and scheduled the next hearing for April 21st. In his petition, Kamra said the amendment constitutes unreasonable restrictions to freedom of speech and expression. He further stated that the move would lead to an unreasonable restriction on his fundamental right to practice trade or profession, since he relies on social media platforms to share his content. The amendment would lead to his content being arbitrarily blocked or taken down, or his account being suspended or deactivated, Kamra stated. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government has been in repeated tussles with various social media platforms when they failed to take down certain content or accounts that is accused of spreading disinformation. That is the size of top accurate global news update. You can follow us on our social media platforms as displayed on your screen. Happy Tuesday.